Good morning, everyone. I think it's now 5 minutes past 11. I think we should just keep going. So we put a little guide together, what hopefully covers everything, how we think we should be doing things. I'm pretty sure when we're going through it, we're going to find something we need to change again. I found already a couple of typos, so don't worry too much about everything in there. The thing is, most of you basically have served to some extent already somewhere else or doing it already a long time. We just thought we're going to get together again and go a little bit through the different activities and tasks and basically refresh our minds and basically straighten some things out so it looks a little bit nicer and things like that. I was thinking to start this whole training. I had asked Daryl to read a letter from Paul to us, basically as an introduction about what we're doing. So maybe let Daryl then do that.
So this is a reading from the letter of St. Paul, first letter of St. Paul to the Corinthians. Brothers and sisters, as a body is one, though it has many parts, and all the parts of the body, though many, are one body, so also Christ. For in one Spirit we were all baptized into one body, whether Jews or Greeks, slaves or free persons, and we were all given to drink of one Spirit. Now the body is not a single part, but many. If a foot should say, because I'm not a hand, I do not belong to the body, it does not for this reason belong any less to the body. Or if an ear should say, because I'm not an eye, I do not belong to the body, it does not for this reason belong any less to the body. If the whole body were an eye, where would the hearing be? If the whole body were hearing, where would the sense of smell be? But as it is, God placed the parts, each one of them, in the body as He intended. If they were all one part, where would the body be? But as it is, there are many parts, yet one body. The eye cannot say to the hand, I do not need you, nor again the head to the feet, I do not need you. Indeed, the parts of the body that seem to be weaker are all the more necessary. And those parts of the body that we consider less honorable, we surround with greater honor. And our less presentable parts are treated with greater propriety, whereas our more presentable parts do not need this. But God has so constructed the body as to give greater honor to a part that is without it, so that there may be no division in the body, but that the parts may have the same concern for one another. If one part suffers, all the parts suffer with it. If one part is honored, all the parts share its joy. Now, you are Christ's body, and individually parts of it. The word of our Lord.
Thanks. The reason why I asked Daryl to read this to us, because it sets a little bit the spirit what everybody doing when we're serving. So I want to basically make sure that everyone understands every part as a server, what we're doing is as equally important and relevant to the Mass. So nobody should feel, because I'm only doing this tiny task, I'm not really that important. Or because I'm carrying the cross, I'm more important than anybody else. No, that's not the case. And the other important part is the servers are a really important part as part of the whole church service, the Mass. When I was little, like a little teenager, maybe like your age, my priest was telling us when you serve, you kind of representing the congregation at the altar and at the priest. You are the person who witness all the silent prayers and mysteries that goes on during the Mass. And therefore, not only doing the physical task, it's also very important the spiritual task you're supposed to do. So you are actually even more so to participate in the prayers and the observance what's going on at the Mass. Basically, just think about it. When the priest washes his hand, you need to carefully listen what the priest actually says, because nobody else in the congregation will be able to hear it, but you witness it, what he's saying, and what the meaning of that actually is. So there are many little parts when you serve. You are the only person directly witnessing this for the congregation, really. So that should be your mindset. You're not just doing physical things, you're doing also many spiritual things that are really important throughout the Mass. So I have that in mind. Anybody, some questions at this point or comments? Okay. So we, as I said, we put a little guide together to help us basically have a more routine ways to do things that are a little bit more aligned, and also as a reference document. Sometimes you forget things and you want to know how to do it. The other thing, what we have recently changed is because we have much more servers than in the past. So we've thought it more useful to assign specific tasks to each server, basically. So let me go through that quite briefly. So the server who does the basic carries the turrifer, and there will be also a boat carrier. Basically, they only will do the gospel procession, the procession in, and the procession out, and of course all the incensing, what's happening throughout the Mass. Then we have the cross barrier. He does participate in the procession. He's going to place and retrieves the missal from the altar, and he also retrieves the cymbordium from the tabernacle. Then we have the two candles. Again, they're going to participate in the procession in and out. Gospel procession, they are also the two servers who basically receive the gifts when they're brought forward. And also one of the servers who will basically in charge of ringing the bell at the altar. Then we have a couple of servers, they are basically tasked with getting the altar ready. We have basically right now just a group that just do the before the communion, and then we have a second group for after the communion, depending how many people we actually have at each Mass. If we have not enough, then basically the two servers will do before and after the communion, everything. Then we have the person who comes out with the binder or with the missal. In some Masses we're going to have an MC, not all the time. And last but not least, if we have a Mass with the bishop, we will have a server who assists the bishop with the mitre and crosier. Any questions here? So for the procession in, basically, we will basically line up over there. We will do that shortly. The order of the service is basically incense, cross, candle, the servers who are setting the altar, the servers who are clearing the altar, then the lector, deacon, priest, bishop, and at the end, the two servers who assist with the crosier and mitre. So for the rehearsal, I need to have assigned some people to do that. At least we're going to go stepwise through the different parts. So I think Roland, you can do the incense, and Sam, can you do the boat? Okay. John, can you do the cross? What was your name again? I forgot it, sorry. Hmm? Sam? Okay, Sam, can you do together with Daryl the candle? Then, Clark, can you do, no, sorry, I want to have, where is it? Gabe, do the binder. And the rest right now I would just pretend are the servers to do the other. We're just practicing now the first part, the procession in. Before we do that, I want to go through the bag. Basically, I made a couple of lines at the beginning, at the back. So there's basically a distance of 3 pews. So basically, as soon we reach the back of the pews, we want to basically spread out a little bit and be a little bit slower when we're processing in. I've noticed last couple of times that when we're processing in, so sometimes it'll be too fast. I mean, it's okay when we're going to go down, but we really want to be like slow coming in. We don't want to rush in. And of course, making this distance helps a little bit to walk slower. But you should not march. We're not military. So give it time. Because the people anticipating us to come, right? Some people want to reference the cross, right? So if we're rushing through them, they don't even have enough time, right? So we want to give it time. So let's do that then. Basically, let's line up. The people should take the cross and the candles with them. And then let's line up at the sacristy.
What should I do with this?
Hmm?
What should I do with this? Should I
Just hold on to it. So, to make things a little bit yeah. So just want to go through it. Basically, the incense will remain outside together with the bowl carrier. Again, when people carrying certain items like the incense, the right hand is on your heart, and the boat is carried like this way, as you had it before. Yeah. Okay. And then in the sacristy, the people will line up, as we said before, across candles, and the server will say what I've already listed out. So the one thing what we're going to do different going forward, we're going to actually also ring a bell when we process in. And that will be done in that way. Basically, the prelude has ended. The cantor will do the announcement, welcome to the cathedral. And then, when that's all done, we will eventually actually have a real bell here. Right now we have a temporary bell that will be just ring one time. Basically, this is a signal for the congregation to be ready that we are coming, that we're processing out, so they should stand up. So then let's go through the procession then. Is everyone ready? Everyone clear? Yeah?
Will be on my right, is that correct?
Yeah. Maybe should I ring so that everyone knows the signal? We get the bell one more time. So basically you hear the ring. So now we're ready. So as soon we reach basically the end of the pews, I made some lines here so you can see it better. We want to extend a little bit the space, and now we also want to get a little bit more slower with how we're processing, right? So I made some blue lines so you can see where you should be relative to the others. The people who carry something don't need to bow. And the two candle carriers, they go basically to the mark where I marked it, and then go to the position where the candle needs to be retrieved, and wait then there until everyone else is through. And everyone else goes through to behind the pillar. No, just put it in the stand there. So when everyone is through, the two candle carriers go again where the marks are. Then they would bow, and then go basically to the left. No, sorry, to the left. Along. No. Come here. Just go to the left, around, and then go up there. Yep. So at this time now, the person who carries the binder or the missal will get ready and basically wait where this mark is. Now the priest or the bishop will incense the altar. I don't want to do this right now in details. When this is done, you're going to go back.
Suppose the incense is done, okay?
Yeah. And then basically when the incense is away, then basically the binder servers come out and stand in front of the bishop. Can everybody come here so they can see things? What's your name again, the red sweater? I know you. Johnny. Can you come out and pretend to be the priest? So here's the thing, Gabe, can you just stand directly in front of Johnny? No, stand in front. Yeah. So think about it. Now, basically, this is our priest, and if you're holding the binder or the missal, the congregation cannot really see him, right? So that's why, if you're tall, then step to the side, as Gabe is doing, so that he can read it, and you're not covering him from the congregation. And then the other thing Gabe knows well to do, she can also change the pages. So you think you should try to do that. But in order to do that, you should basically have a look at it beforehand so you know when to flip the pages. And if you're not comfortable with that, then it's fine. You don't have to do it, right?
If Father Anthony celebrates the Mass, you don't need to turn the page, you will do that.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Is everyone clear until this point? So basically then we will go through all the Kyria, the Gloria, and then basically the server will go back after the collect. Everyone are going to sit. He's the priest. Yeah, be the priest for there right now. That's perfect. So now, Clark, can you pretend to be the deacon? So maybe you should sit just on this little thing there. Just sit there down too. No, just sit there on that little thing. Perfect. So now we're going to have the readings, the first reading, the Psalms, the second reading, and now we're getting ready for the Gospel. So for the Gospel procession, on the Sunday Masses at 11, and also when we have the bishop, we typically do a gospel procession. Sometimes we don't, but you will see when we have to do it. So how we're going to prepare that now is basically the incense comes out first, Goes to the priest, that the incense can be placed in the, the incense can be placed in a turfa.
Then we will kneel down before the priest, right? Or we just
I don't think you kneel in front of the priest. I'm not sure actually.
but I think for the bishop.
For bishop we do, yes. For the bishop we do.
We kneel on the steps.
Yeah, yeah,
So right here, right?
yeah.
Here, right?
Does actually the priest put the incense in, or do we?
Put it in, but they don't usually. The deacon put it in.
Do you know if we put the incense in for the priest too?
No, actually the priest and the bishop.
Yeah,
Yeah, right. That's what I was thinking. Okay. So when that part is done, the incense will go down and stand at the first pew. I didn't make a mark roll on there. You can just go there then. So then, basically, when the incense is already placed in, then the two candles will go out. Basically, they go to this line here. So you two. You're going to bow here. Then you take basically a straight line, basically where I made the marks. You go down here. You're going to retrieve the candle. And then you come back where the mark is, and facing the altar. So in the meanwhile, the deacon got his blessing from the priest or the bishop, and now he basically goes to the altar, picks up, that's you now, picks up the gospel, just pretend that, and then you will go around the altar typically. So as soon the deacon reached this mark, this candle now moves where that mark is over there. See that mark?
This one?
Yeah, and basically you with the incense will already move
It's supposed to be here, right?
in basically.
Okay.
So when the deacon is here, you move with the candle over there, while Darius remains waiting, and the incense will be basically here already, right?
Incense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, in the meantime, the deacon is already down here, so you go to process now over there.
Okay.
Okay?
So as soon as the bishop reaches the last step,
Yeah. Then you
then
just
start
go.
walking, okay?
Yeah. So the incense will go and wait until where the stairs are. The two candles, basically, one go up here. I think they always have one up here, I think, right? And one remains down here. It looks nicer if we can arrange the candles on the same height, but if it doesn't work, then it's okay too, right? So the deacon will go up, and the person with the incense will follow him up the
I
stairs.
think the two of us should go there, or
No, the bowl can stay down.
okay. So I will just get.
No, the incense is already in there, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So you go up.
And I think the deacons would because the bishop was the one who put the incense.
Yeah.
I got it. Okay.
So the incense now handed over to the deacon or the priest who's gonna read then the deacon will incense the gospel. Good job. And then the incense will go down again and wait at the bottom of the stairs. Yeah.
I was wondering for the incense, I know sometimes if you kind of just go up like this, or just over there, that you're not like facing, you don't have two people facing the.
Yeah, you're correct. You're correct.
So if you kind of stay here and where you're a little bit lower than
Okay.
where you were, and then keep face this way. And
Do I,
where you're a
okay,
little
do I
bit
have to
more-
wait the deacon to finish the readings before I go back here?
No, I'm just saying when you follow them up, you may just want to go off this way
Okay,
and kind of stay a little bit out of sight
okay.
and hand it off
Yeah. Perfect. So the deacon or priest will finish the gospel, and as soon he's done, basically we preparing to process back. So basically, as soon the deacon is done, the incense will start moving, and as soon the incense past the candles, and the candles line up behind the incense, and in meanwhile the deacon has reached the procession. Then at this point the incense will retrieve back, because the deacon want to go through. You not want to be in the way. Basically, you go between the pews. Right? The two candles go to this position, right? So that the deacon has a clear path to come through and go to, if the bishop is there, to let the bishop reference the gospel. And as soon as the deacon is away, the incense will come through. The candles will go through the position where the candles are placed. Oh yeah, you're right. Roland, I made a mistake. So when you just go through with the incense, you don't wait for the deacon.
Okay, so only the cross there.
Yeah. And then basically you come again to where the marks are. You're going to bow, and then you do the same thing as previously. You just go to the left and up there. Is that so far clear?
Yes.
So yeah, the correction, basically what I did wrong, just want to reiterate this. Basically during the gospel procession, at the end, the incense will just go back through and doesn't wait for the bishop. I made that wrong. So then the Mass will continue with the homily, with the prayer of the faithful. Sorry, I missed actually the creed. so the homily, the creed, the prayer of the faithful. Again, it's the same thing as previously. Make sure that the priest is not covered by you. And if you are able to, flip the pages, would be very helpful. And again, as a reminder, when we have the bishop, we will use for most of the Mass basically the chair missal. The only tricky part is for the prayer of the faithful, we basically need to switch. So at that time we have probably a second person bring out the binder, and basically the missal goes back. I will go through all activities with the mitre and crozier. We're going to do that basically some other time, I think. It's detailed in the guide, so it's not really hard to remember. As a general note for the use of the mitre is always coming off if it's there of a prayer. And then basically for the homily, he has the mitre on, and sometimes he uses also crozier. For the gospel, the mitre comes off and he carries the crozier. Right? That's basically kind of a general things. If we have specific masses like the Chrism Mass or the other special masses, sometimes there are special prayers, so that becomes a lot of activities around the crozier and the mitre. But we're going to practice when we have these masses. There's a bit too many things to remember at once. So now we finished with the liturgy of the words. So now we come to the part where we're going to set the altar. So I made a picture in our guide how we want to do it. So what we're going to do, the person who carried the cross will basically get the pillow and the missal. Then let's say Sam, and who didn't do anything, you have something to do. Maybe you. What was your name again? Leon? You're going to take the chalice. hold this. And then you're going to take this. So my pronunciation is really bad. So how you, it's a burrs or boars? How you pronounce the word? Sorry.
I haven't got my glasses.
Burrs? So sorry for who's listening to it. We're butchering a little bit the words, but we're okay. So basically, we have them aligned that on the far left is the missal with the pillow. In the middle is the booth with the corporal. So stand next to John. And then on the right is the chalice with the vial. So important for this is supposed to always facing forward to the congregation. So when you're carrying it out, you need to make sure it's there, because one side is sometimes a little bit shorter, but make sure that it's facing forward, right? Yeah. So then you're going to come out, basically as soon as the organ typically starts to play, you're going to go, if you bring anything to the altar, then you go to this line here, that's basically where this thing is. Then everyone bows together. The first thing we're going to do is placing the corporal on the altar. So you come forward, then you take the corporal out of the thing. So here a little bit to explain to everyone. The corporal is folded in a specific way. The reason for that is everything what falls on it should remain inside. So you don't want to shake it or turn it upside down. So you want to keep it as it is. And then you place it, basically it's folded in a specific way. So you have basically where the open part is, that needs to facing to the right. So you place it roughly on the middle on the altar. So what you do then, you start unfolding it. So you're folding it to the first to the left. Yeah, you can do that. Then you fold it to, open it to the right. Then you open it to the top. And then you open it to the bottom. So if you need to move it now because you may not be in the right position, it's fine to basically slide it up and down, left and right to make it in the right position. That's fine, but you're not lifting it up and shaking it. So when you have complete that, you take this again with you and go back where you came from, to that line. So now the missals come out and places the missal with the pillow to the left of the corporal and open it at the Eucharistic prayers. So then you come out with the chalice and you place it to the right. And then you go back. Then you would bow and go back behind the pillar. Is that all clear? Yeah.
When I put the missal on the pillow, I've been trying to angle it in such a way that the bottom end of the missal is resting on the table. But John did it in a way where he just put the whole thing on the pillow.
Yeah.
What is the right way?
I think either way is fine. I think.
Well, my way usually
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. The only thing you want to provide basically is it's going to slide off and fall.
When I do that, that's the thing I have to worry about.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's fine if it rests.
Okay. So either way.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. Is everyone clear with this?
You want us to do like we just did it where, like, I went up, like, the chalice and the missal being put on the same time. Usually, well, one person's putting the missal down, one person's doing this, or he wants to do like we just did it.
Yeah,
One,
just
two, three.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
I
All right.
So there's two things I want to explain too now. First of all, if we have Father Juanito, he does it a little bit different. Can you bring me the small missal? And I made also a picture in the end of the guide. So Father Juanito, he likes to have the missal in front. So for this particular reason, basically you would need to have the corporal a little more up, so you have enough space to place the missal. And there's still enough place to put everything else, right? So that's the only difference, basically, when priests basically depending how they can read. Basically, that's the main reason for it. For some, they feel more comfortable when it's just right there, and for others, it's better to have it over there, right? Is that clear? Anyway, there's a picture in the guide as a reference too. And also for unfolding the corporal, there's also pictures in the guide, so you can see it. So let's put this back. So the other thing I would like to explain, so in case there is no deacon, basically what we would do then, basically we need to take over a little bit what the deacon normally would do. If there's no deacon, we would basically remove the veil, and then we would move the pattern onto the corporal and place then the chalice to the right of the corporal and place the purifier next to the right of the corporal, the chalice. And then we would remove the veil. So let's do this basically. If basically let me put it back so we can not messing things up. Is that clear, that part? Okay. Yeah, when there's no deacon. Yeah, we have 2 deacons. Okay, so we set the altar. The next part now is some people from the congregation will bring forward the gifts. Could you bring forward the gifts? So when basically the people come forward, the 2 candle bearers will go down together with the deacon and the priest. Basically, the deacon and the priest will stand there in the middle, right? And the 2 candle bearers basically will stand there where the mark is. So the person from the congregation will hand over the wine to the priest. The priest will give it to the deacon. Yeah. Basically, normally you are the priest. You would take the gift and give it to the deacon, and the deacon will give it to the servant. Then he will get the pattern, and he will hand over to the servant. So when that's done, we're turning around, going back up to the altar. The servant with the pattern will wait here. Basically, there is the priest, you're the priest. Come on. So when he will wait for the priest to come, he will get it from the priest, and the priest will now place it on the corporal. Okay.
So we don't place it on the...
We don't place it on the corporal. All right. So now the deacon will prepare now the chalice. The first thing he will do, removes the veil, and then he will place the pattern, the principal pattern, on the corporal, right? And then he will start preparing the chalice. So the wine will be given to the deacon, and at the same time, one server comes out with the water when the deacon and the priest come up. So to meet then the server here. So then the deacon will prepare the chalice. He put first in the wine, then he will add some water, and then when that's complete, you two basically go back, but you will also remove now the veil and bring it back to the credence table. Yep. Is that clear so far? So next.
What is the process if there's no deacon regarding the wine?
Yeah, then the priest will do it. You basically give it to the priest. Yeah. And again, as I said at the beginning, when the water is added to the wine, there is a prayer to that. Sometimes you may actually hear that, sometimes you might not, but there is a prayer around that. That's a really important part when the wine is added or combined with the wine. That's also some of the important things to remember. So when all this is done, now the incense comes out. Then the incense is placed, handed to the deacon typically. Yeah. You'll be here. You are the priest. You're going to. So the incense is handed to the deacon, and the deacon will hand the incense to the priest. Actually, no, you hold this. give it to him. The incense first.
Yeah. Okay. No.
You hold it. So then you will put the incense in there as a priest. The priest will put the incense.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can open it, but don't scoop anything physically. So typically I put 3 scoops in there.
Okay. Are you done, Father? Okay, good. Then I would hand it to the bishop, to the deacon, right?
Yeah, and then the bowl is going to go back to the bowl carrier. And then the incense is given to the priest or the bishop. And then the priest walks around the altar and incense the altar. Typically the other way around, but it's fine. Wonderful. So then the incense is handed over to the deacon. Yeah, and the deacon will incense the priest or the bishop. So when that part is finished, the lavabo, the 2 servers come out with the lavabo and the towel. And of course then the incense will be done with the congregation and everything, but we don't need to do that. So here, hold on. So first of all, you're going to hold this with your right hand and have this ready. And then for the towel, the thing, how we're doing it typically, this is, whatever. You're holding it kind of this way, basically over your fingers, right? Yeah, you need to switch the. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, do it with your right hand. Yes. Basically, whatever your dominant hand is, basically use that. Right. Your left hand or right-handed? Right hand. Yeah. Then put the thing in the right hand. Good. So then you would come out. And what I didn't basically. You need to see where they are. When you approach the altar, always as a reminder, you're always supposed to bow, right? Because you're approaching the altar, so don't forget that. Sometimes it gets a little bit hectic, and you have not enough time to bow, but keep that in mind, you're supposed to bow when you're approaching the altar. So then you will come forward basically here from the side, typically. Again, then the hands are washed, and remember, listen to the words. What is said, because it's a really important part, so remember that part. And then you handle the towel to the priest. Sometimes the priest will just use it as you're holding it. Sometimes he takes it from you, and when he takes it from you, you fold your hands like this, so that the priest or the bishop just can put the towel over your hand. So then you would bow again and go back. Is that any questions here so far? So now let's do one of the trickiest part. Let's go through basically the ringing of the bells. Roland, could you read some of the passages for the Eucharist prayers? Yeah. They should be in the missal, right? So basically, as a principle how the bells are used. So the bells are basically a symbol when something really important is happening during the Eucharistic prayer. Basically, when the wine and bread turns into the blood and body of Christ. So there is a prayer at the beginning that's at the Eucharist prayers, and that's called the epiclesis. There are several versions of it. There's one that's very long, and the tricky part is with this long version there is actually also a blessing of the gifts at the beginning. And the signal what we're looking for is when the priest or the bishop puts his hands over the gifts this way, because he's calling the Holy Spirit to come over the gifts. Basically, when he does this gesture, not this gesture, right? So who's gonna? Yeah, and the other thing, what happens when the deacon is there, when as soon the priest or the bishop basically puts his hand over and calls the Holy Spirit, the deacon will also kneel, right? Who want to be ringing the bell for when we're trying this now? Okay, you want to do it? Just one quick thing. There's one way basically to ring it. You can actually leave it on the thing. You just lift it a little bit, or you can actually take in the hand. And then you should actually ring it gently, because if you're going like crazy, it doesn't sound right? So you want to actually be gentle so that it rings nicely. So during the epiclesis, we're just ringing one time for 3 seconds. So maybe read the long version.
Okay. Are you ready?
Let me come. Well, wait.
Do I need to use that?
Yeah, so we can hear it. Can you take it out?
At the night he was betrayed and entered willingly into his passion. He took bread and giving thanks, broke it, and gave it to his disciples, saying, "Take this, all of you, and eat of it.
Anyway, I will go use this one here then. What we have in this one.
This one, okay? This one, I think.
So it goes like here, this is.
This one. Make holy, therefore, these gifts, we pray, by sending down your Spirit upon them like the dewfall, so that they may come for us the body and blood of our Lord Jesus Christ. At the time he was betrayed and entered willingly into his passion, he took bread and giving thanks, broke it, and gave it to his disciples, saying, "Take this, all of you, and eat of it, for this is my body, which will be given up for you." In a similar way, when supper was ended, he took the chalice, and once more giving thanks, he gave it to his disciples, saying, "Take this, all of you, and drink from it, for this is the chalice of my blood, the blood of the new and eternal covenant, which will be poured out for you and for many, for the forgiveness of sins. Do this in memory of me."
Oh, is that clear to everyone? So, but again,
So we forgot the chalice while
Yeah.
elevating the body
so
and
yeah,
blood.
so at the same time, basically, when of course the incense needs to go down, and basically, so that's ready to incense at the same time.
Right.
But again, just to repeat,
We know that part already.
yeah. So, but just as a reminder, basically, when we're ringing the first time, really watch what the priest or deacon is doing. When he does really the long version, don't basically don't ring if he signs, make the the sign of cross over the gifts. Wait until he continues. That can be sometimes very long when he reads all the names and saints and blah blah blah, and goes on and on and on, and then eventually he would put his hand over the gifts.
If there is a pall over the chalice, one trick that I've noticed is that before the epiclesis, they have to remove the pall.
Yeah, that's correct.
So if you see them doing a blessing and the pall is still on the chalice, it's not the one.
Yeah, correct, yeah. But only be tricky, sometimes happens also that the priest forget to do it.
That can happen too. And you'll notice the deacon kind of
Okay, is that part clear? So the next part is now we're going to be praying the Our Father, right? And then we come to the sign of peace. And that part, when we're doing the sign of peace, the cross carrier will go to the tabernacle to retrieve the cemborium. And then basically what's important is when you approach the tabernacle, when you reach the lower stairs, you're going to bow. Then you go up to the tabernacle, and before you open the tabernacle, you would genuflex go down and make a sign of a cross, and then you open the tabernacle to retrieve the cemborium. Then you bring forward the cemborium while the Agnus Dei has started. Any additional empty patens are brought also at the same time, but they will come after the cemborium. The cemborium will then be placed, if possible, on the corporal, and the lid is removed and put to the side of the corporal. And then basically any empty dishes would brought up to the altar at the same time. Like, could you bring them out? Yeah, not the lavabo. It's okay. And then you place them where some space is on the altar to the right, typically. So during the Agnus Dei, basically we will actually line up here for the communion. Can you then line up here, basically? Just one single line. Sometimes we have also ministers, they help with the communion, they will line up with you, make sure that's a nice row. If it's a lot of people, then cut a little bit so it gives them a little bit more space. Due to COVID, we're still using some disinfectant spray. One server needs to come or be ready so he can help the priest and the deacon and the minister to clean the hand, right? And then we bring it back. Typically, you stand there ready, and when the priest and deacon are ready to get the hand sent, they will probably reach out to you. And then sometimes it's really easy just to spray it on the hand because they don't have to do anything, and then go back. So then we eventually get to the communion. Basically, the priest will give the communion to everyone. And when you receive the communion, we'll go back with the exceptions of the two servers who will clear the altar. So let's keep, who set the altar, we keep you for removal. Everyone else go back. I think it was, who was it again? No, John, not you. No, yeah, you too, yeah. So basically the three who set the altar in this particular case, just be ready for this. So basically you stay here. John will come out. Basically, you come again to this line, or the three people. Do we actually need three? I don't know, we will figure it out. You're going to bow. So the following things are now removed. Basically, the missal and the book. And any dishes, if we have co-celebrant that are used by co-celebrants, going to be removed. Everything else remains. And these I would be away for this moment right now because they're using them from the communion. Sometimes the cymborum stands somewhere here. So now what you're also supposed to be doing is kind of resetting the altar. The cymborum should be placed again here, and the chalice in the front of it. So when the priest comes back, that he can put it back in the cymborum and put the crumb in the wine, so for preparing for the purification. So basically what you're doing is resetting the altar that looks like this, and you go back, right, with whatever is not needed. As you take these, let's say they were for the priest, they use them. But normally they will not be there. So anyway, so you go back. Then the two servers will bring out now the two servers going to bring out the cruet with the water. That's one of these, in this case, yeah. And the, I always forget the name of it, water. And the ablution bowl. Yeah, aqua is water. V is vinum, wine. So, and and the ablution bowl. Who's the other server? And that also comes with the purifier. So you come out again. Again, when you reach here, you're going to bow. The ablution bowl is basically placed next to the copper, like here, with the towel underneath of it. No, just to put it here. There. And you will place the water over here. Then you go back to the line, bow, and go back. So in the meantime, really the communion is continuing. So yeah, let me do that part then. Basically, the communion is complete. Then the priest and the deacon will come back up, and the priest will combine the leftover hosts. And as soon as he has combined that, he will cover the cymborum and hand it over to the deacon, and the deacon will return the cymborum to the tabernacle.
I have a meeting at 12:30.
That's okay.
I have to leave now.
Yeah, it's okay.
So the incense, so can you just do it? The one who holds the.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you so much. I'm sorry because we were supposed to start at 11.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. I'll
Good.
see you. Okay.
Yeah. So then, basically, now be ready there. The two servers need to be ready. So basically, the cymborum is moved away. In the meantime, the priest will start purifying the patens and use the water, pour it in the vessel, and then he has them wiped down. And then basically the servers need to be ready to retrieve the paten. Sometimes it's one, sometimes it's two, sometimes it's three, depending how many are. So he receives them, move them back. So I made that wrong. Anyway, yeah. So when the go back. So but your bow is typically right. So when this is done, the two servers gonna bring out the veil. The veil. Yeah, and the Yeah, where the corporal is placed in. And basically, you're going to come here. Basically, you are the priest and deacon. The deacon is away right now. Let's pretend it this way, right? And you just be here. So you come over here again from the side, right? For this particular, you're going to bow again. What the priest is doing in the meantime, he basically finished the purification. Oh, what I forgot, also these needs to be put away. Right. So the priest had finished the purification. He will either the priest or the deacon will put it back together. Then the corporal will be folded in reverse, basically how it's normally done. And then it will be given to you. Again, make it that the veil faces forward. And then you basically bow and go back. I think we made it a little bit chaotic. Do we want to repeat it, or is it clear in principle? So then we're doing the collect after the communion. Yeah, the deacon or deacon can be there again. So we're doing the collect. There may be them following with some announcement or any other things. And then we're going to go to, or we're going to have the final blessing. It could be a simple blessing, it's very quick, or basically it's a little bit longer. So when the final blessing starts, basically we're getting ready for the procession out. Again, with the mass with the bishop, then there's some activities with the mitre and the crozier. Again, for the collect, the mitre comes off, but it comes back on for the blessing, and for the blessing, you also need the crozier at that time when you want to make the sign of the cross, right? So then we're done with that part. The music starts to play. Now basically the cross, basically the incense. Great. So the incense, I think, Sam, you're going to just take the incense now too, because Roland had to leave. Just take the incense, leave the boat there for now. So you're going to be in front of the person who carries the cross, and the candles are left and right to John, basically the cross. All the other servers are lined up as previously. So when the music starts to play, then we're going to come to this line here. Basically, the incense comes followed by the cross and the candles. You're going to bow, and you're going to go to the first pew. Cross and the candle comes. They bow together, and importantly, give the cross a little bit space, because they need to go to the cross, whereas the candle carriers, they just go straight down, right? So you don't want to run into each other. So the cross will go down to retrieve the cross, and the candle bearers, you're going to go the straight line over the axis, the marks, down to the stairs. The cross going to move. Hold on, wait there. So basically, we want to give the candle carriers and the cross enough time to get ready. So typically, around when they reach the candle, then the rest of the service starts moving, bowing again at the lines, and so we can all meet lined up basically in timing at the first pew. As soon we're reaching the first pew, we're actually turning around and go backwards. So we give you're going to go there too, right? Now you turn around at the blue line. Now the other servers move. And just go back so that everyone has enough space. Yeah.
Does it matter what side of the thurifer came this side? Does it matter?
I think it doesn't matter. I think it doesn't matter. So there's one thing what we're going to change in the future. It's also in the guide. When we have the bishop, the two servers assisted the bishop. They all come out with everyone else. However, they're going to stand next to the first pew because they want to fall behind the bishop at the end.
In front of it?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll pretend and
Yeah, perfect. So what happens then now, the priest, the deacon, bishop, they will reference the altar. And then either they're going to bow at the top or they're genuflect in front of it. When they're doing this part, is the sign for us to turn around. And then we're going to process back out. Again, have a slow pace and make sure that there's enough space between everyone. So the incense is placed outside and everyone else goes inside.
Nice job, Marco. Putting it all together. Well done. Should I do that?
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
So, yeah, and then basically you place the candles inside as well as the cross. As long the music is playing, we're not bringing anything out or taking anything off, walking behind the altar. As long basically the mass is going, we basically not go outside again.
Good. I missed that. What did you say? As long as the mass is going
Yeah,
on?
sometimes I see people bringing out the candles back in front of the altar. We're not doing that while the music is still playing, the postlude. Because then the
Oh, I see. Yeah.
because
oh, yes,
because the
yes.
mass is still going. We don't we don't want to do anything there.
I always think congregations should be encouraged to stay.
Yeah, you're right.
Priest ought to say something.
So how?
That's what I do.
Lock the doors.
Lock the doors.
So are there any questions?
Yes. Once I put the incense back,
Yeah.
do I immediately enter the
Yeah. You
incense?
go then in the sacristy as well. Anything else?
At the end there, when we come up to cross the candles to vow, I usually come back from my vow, get the candles, kind of get a head start on me.
Yeah.
To go down, I bow and then kind of wait a second, because they got to go down,
Yeah.
and the three of us got to meet up.
Yeah. The whole idea is when we procession out, that we're kind of timing so that there's no like traffic jam around the altar. So that's really a smooth movement. And the other thing, basically keep in mind, do have straight lines, don't walk in curves and all over the place. It should be really kind of looking nice for everyone.
Now what did John say? I didn't catch what he said.
Well, at the end with the candles.
When
so
we are recessing?
We're recessing, yeah. We walk now as the crossbar. I kind of come back slowly from my belt. The candles go, because you guys got two.
Oh, this is when we are.
Yeah,
this-
yeah.
Okay.
They have to go down, get the candle, as I'm going over on the diagonal, get the cross.
I
Going
thought that's
down,
what we did.
over.
Though.
Yeah.
That's what we did, didn't we?
Yeah, kind of, we did it.
I think we did that.
All right.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, they did a good job, didn't they?
Okay, I hope. I
So
hope.
we all meet together in a